everyone. This is Kathleen Rose, and this is the Presidential Podcast. Well, it's February 21st. It is definitely winter here on the Gavilan campus. It's very chilly today, and we are celebrating Black History Month. We have some events on campus this week and next week also, and I hope you will check out, including the open mic event that's happening. Dr. Michael Cheers from San Jose State, who will be sharing his civil rights journey, and a webinar on business and economic trends in our transfer center. Black History Month is an annual month-long celebration in the U.S., and although the month is certainly not long enough to celebrate and appreciate the great history Black people have contributed to the world, it's enough to celebrate and appreciate some commemorative leaders, great thought leaders, activists, and artists that have provided inspiration and change to our world. And so I thought I'd start out the podcast today with a couple of quotes to get us revved up and inspired because, wow, do we ever have a packed podcast today with inspirational people that I will be interviewing to talk about. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about what we'll be talking about in a minute. But first, here's some quotes. Here's the first one by Dr. Mae Jemison. Dr. Jemison was the first African-American astronaut, and she said, "Never be limited by other people's limited imaginations." I like that a lot. And then the second quote I wanted to share with you is one, of course, by Dr. Martin Luther King. And his quote is, "I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe the unarmed truth and unconventional love will have the final word." And I certainly believe that too. Unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word. So today's theme on the podcast carries through that idea of service. As we all know, we at Gavilan are in the year of service this year. And today I'd like to focus on an idea about giving. Giving of time, gifts, connection, and relationship. We do that here on campus all the time. We as a campus community continue to be in a year of service, and today's podcast guest will have the opportunity to explore that theme with me. I have 3 different groups of distinguished guests, and we're going to have to bring them into our spacious podcast booth in different groups today. We have a lot of them waiting out in the studio to come in. The first will include Victor and Rocio Dereza. They are a brother and sister who work at Gavilan and have a story of giving that I know will definitely bring you joy. In fact, Victor's children are here to talk with me about that as well. In the second segment, I will have Geronimo Garcia and Grant Richards, and you know them because they are always around on campus with a lens in front of them, either a camera lens or a video lens, and they also produce this podcast for me every month. And I really wanted to talk with them about the other production efforts they have on campus and all the other media efforts they do, because they truly capture Gavilan's spirit and history, as well as the many stories lived each day in our communities in service with purpose and with skill. And we need to hear more about that. And then lastly, Danae Pescarmona will be in the podcast studio with me today. And she's our new VP of Academic Affairs, who in her 7 short months at the college has begun to shift our instructional culture to one that continues its journey to be student-focused and community-friendly for sure. So Danae will introduce herself again to us and talk about the accreditation visit that will be occurring here on campus on March 11th. So stay tuned, folks. A packed podcast is ahead. Okay, welcome back to the Presidential Podcast. And my first guests in our podcast room this morning are Victor and Rocio de Reza. And Victor and Rocio have been longtime employees with the college. And we're going to talk a little bit, continuing to talk about the theme of service here at Gavilan College in our year of service, especially around the theme of what does it mean to give? And what does it mean to be generous with your time and talents in the community, and in so doing, provide satisfaction to yourself? So I was really privileged and honored to see at our last Board of Trustees meeting in February, as Victor was receiving the Employee of the Month award, that Victor brought his daughter, Mariana, to the board meeting. And, that was pretty special in and of itself, because the board meeting was in Coyote Valley, our remote Coyote Valley location. And Victor brought his daughter because he wanted his daughter to talk about how she gives back to the college. And I'm going to have Victor and Rocio tell you a little bit about that. But first, tell us a little bit about what you do at the college and how long you've been at the college.
Hi, my name is Rocio de Reza, and I've been working at Gavilan College for 15 years now. And my role in Gavilan College, I work for the Financial Aid Office, and I'm a Senior Financial Aid Program Specialist. I review files to determine eligibility for our students.
My name is Victor de Reza. I work for non-credit. I am the Assessment Specialist, and my role is to evaluate the knowledge of students prior to take or register them for their ESL classes in our community. I visit 27 different classrooms in the communities of Morgan Hill, Gilroy, and Hollister, and I've been doing this for close to 4 years now.
Now, are you both born and raised in our community, or how long have you been around?
Well, we've been in the area of Morgan Hill since 1992. Mm-hmm. We were born in Mexico, Zacatecas, Mexico. Mm-hmm. I moved here when I was 15, and I went straight to Live Oak and started doing my education immediately as I arrived.
How about you, Rocio?
When we arrived here to Morgan Hill, I was 9 years old, and I've been I entered fourth grade.
Wow.
And we lived in Morgan Hill, the area of Morgan Hill, and I graduated also from Live Oak. And I came to Gavilan College straight after graduating from high school.
Okay. So did you both attend Gavilan College then?
Yes.
So you're both alumni of Gavilan College?
That is correct.
Fantastic. And then you transferred from Gavilan College, and where did you both go then?
I transferred to San Jose State in 2002, and I got my bachelor's degree and also my master's degree from San Jose State University.
Mm-hmm. And Victor?
In my case, I haven't proceeded my education with my bachelor's degree. Mm-hmm. I did finish my AA here at Gavilan College as business administration, but I'm hoping that in the near future I can go back to school and finish my education.
Yeah, but you opened a very successful business, I know, and were a business owner for many years, but you had a calling to come back to Gavilan, I know, and your work in the non-credit department has been really, really spectacular, especially the work that you're doing in the field to bring students in the non-credit pipeline for ESL and non-credit. So we've been really fortunate to have you do the work you're doing in the field. And Rocio, you are just a star in our financial aid office, and I know you also do a lot of volunteering for the college, especially in the Puente program. You've been a Puente mentor for how many years now?
Over 10 years now.
Yeah, so pretty incredible. So are there other siblings in your family? How many other siblings do you have?
No other siblings,
It's
brothers and
just the two of
sisters,
you.
just the two of us.
Okay. Have you always been volunteers? Has your family, has that always been a value in your family to either volunteer or give back in the community?
I would say yes. We've always been around communities, and we've been helping promote businesses, or maybe do some fundraising for special events in the Catholic Church, in our communities. So somehow we are, I guess, talented and easy to pass the word to others, and we are fortunate that the other listen to us and they support us in our ideas, and that's awesome that the people listen to you and they like what you think, and they like how you could actually do something for the community, and I think that's just awesome.
Me too. So tell me a little bit about what you're giving back specifically to Gavilan College and your family scholarship that you have put together.
So I established a scholarship called Fulfill Your Dream Scholarship in 2015. It started with one scholarship of $300, and little by little it's been growing. I currently have 3 scholarships that I give out every year, 2 for new or continuing students at Gavilan College, and 1 for a transfer student.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yes. And so every year you're seeing that grow. And so what are the benefits you have seen from your giving?
Well, it's really special to see students that have struggled financially or academically to pursue their dreams and to complete their education. And to me, it's important that we know there's disadvantages, but money should not be one of those disadvantages. Yes. And students should have the opportunity to complete their academic goals.
Absolutely. And Victor, your family's done something similar. I know I'm going to meet your kids, but tell me a little bit about what you've established also.
Well, what my kids and I have established, it's 4 scholarships. Each scholarship, it's $250. And we thought about helping the parents who are taking our ESL classes, especially after struggling, going to work for 8, 10, 12-hour shifts, and then having the will to come and learn at 9 p.m. I mean, that's just awesome. That some of the parents have their kids already in the university, and they are supporting their own kids so that they can fulfill their dreams. And I talked to my kids and I said, wow, students have many they can receive help from other scholarships, but I haven't seen parents getting the help that they need in order to succeed in school. I mean, I understand that the expenses that ESL students are not as big as their own kids, but I thought, well, maybe we can help, and somehow it would be very beneficial for them.
Terrific. So I'm going to get the lowdown from your kids, because in a few minutes they'll come in the podcast booth without you both, and so they'll get to tell me a little bit about that, because I understand they've been willing to give up their allowance all year for these scholarships, and so I can't wait to talk to them about that. What do you think, what would you like to say to others to encourage them? And if they're interested in giving in a similar way, how might they be able to connect to our Gavilan Financial Aid Office to do that?
Well, there is a process where anyone could establish a scholarship. Our scholarship coordinator, Kim Benjamin, is available to help those who are thinking about establishing a scholarship for our Gavilan students. And she could walk you through the process of setting up the scholarship, the funds, and promoting it within Gavilan College. One of the things that I would like just to say is to encourage people to, if they would like to donate, don't think that any amount is too small. I think a lot of the times we have this belief that in order to give, you have to have the money already available, or you have to be of middle to high income
Yes.
to be able to give. And that's not necessarily the case. In my case, in order for me to give these funds, I have to budget myself and I have to save money. But to me, it's something important to do because I see the benefit in our students, and I really embrace the goal or the mission of Gavilan College to be able to help students complete their education and move forward with their dreams.
Absolutely. And Victor, it looks like you would agree with that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, when we were students here at Gavilan College, we did apply for any financial aid scholarship that there was available, and some of them were granted to us, and that's how we were able to complete our education. And I think now is our turn to give back to the community, because there's people back, out there in the community who are or who have the same the dreams that my sister and I have, and if we can help them to support that, we are here to help them, or we will help them.
Absolutely. Well, it's been my pleasure to talk to both of you about that. I have been here for a decade now, and A, I didn't know that you two were brother and sister, so that's on me. And B, I didn't know that you both had established a scholarship for the college. And so I'm very proud of you both for doing this. It's a family legacy that you will be able to contribute for many years to come. And I know many people will be inspired by your story. So we're going to take a little pause. And when we come back to the podcast, I'm going to talk to your kids. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ross, for having us here.
Okay, we're back with the Presidential Podcast, and I'm here with Victor's children, his 3 kids. Now, let's see how I do with their names. I have Sarai, I have Mariana, and I have Isaias. How'd I do, guys?
Good.
All right, great. Okay, so welcome to the podcast. So your dad and your aunt were in here talking to me about scholarships and about the fact that you've been willing to give to Gavilan College. So who will tell me a little bit about the scholarship that you guys put together? Tell me the name of it first.
It's called Mi Domingos.
Okay. And what does that mean?
It's translated to my allowance.
To my allowance. And who came up with that name?
We all did.
All right.
Yeah.
And so what is it? What is my allowance, the My Allowance Scholarship?
So, our dad gives us an allowance of $20 every week for each kid, and we give $5 each week for the allowance. So we've been saving up for the scholarship.
Okay. And what would you like to see happen with that scholarship? Every year it grows. So what's going to happen with that money, do you think?
We would give the students their scholarships.
Yes, that's right. And what do you think the scholarship will be used for?
To pay for college if they can't afford it, so they could learn and have the same opportunity as everyone else.
That's right. And why is that important to you, to the 3 of you, that you gave your allowance for the scholarship? Why did you choose to do that?
My dad, he would give us an idea saying, we basically made kind of a deal. He would give us more money, but we would end up giving, $5.
Hey, that's a good deal. Yeah. So do you think it's a good thing? Does it make you feel good to give money for the scholarship every week?
Good.
Yeah. What kinds of things do you have to do for your allowance? I have a couple of kids too, but they're older now, and I remember the kinds of things they had to do for their allowance. What do you have to do for yours?
I have to take out the trash every Wednesday.
Oh, okay. How about you, Mariana?
I just clean our room.
Okay. Good.
We do a lot of stuff at home. We just help around with our chores. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Helping with the chores. So you do have to do some things for it. So you probably think about it during the week that you're doing something to contribute to a scholarship that's really going to help students someday.
Yeah.
So do you spend some time here at Gavilan College sometimes with your dad?
Well, I mostly go to work with him
Good.
around, and it's really fun seeing the other people.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think you'll go to college someday?
Yeah.
Yes.
And where do you think you might like to go to college? I think you all know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Where?
Here, to
Here.
Gav. To
Of
Gav.
course. Of course you'd like to go to Gavilan College. Do you know what you'd like to study?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Where do you go to school now?
I go to Brownell Middle School.
Brownell Middle School. How about you, Mariana?
Roble Elementary.
Okay.
And I go to Gilroy High.
Gilroy High. Very good. Well, anything else you'd like to say about your scholarship?
We're very happy that we're doing this because we know we're helping people to get their education.
Yes, absolutely. Will you be coming to the scholarship award ceremony this year? I hope you will.
Yeah, we will.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be important that you're there so that you can help to award the scholarship to those who receive it. They'll be so happy to meet you. I am so proud to meet the three of you and so proud that you are scholarship. You're probably maybe the youngest donors that we have in our scholarship program at the college. And I hope that many who listen to the podcast think about ways in which they can give to the college in similar ways. You're very inspiring for many people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Okay, well, welcome back to the Presidential Podcast. I now have a podcast booth full of media people. And so I'm very happy that I have Geronimo Garcia, I have Grant Richards, and I have Tim Allen in here. And so finally we have an opportunity to talk to my production crew. I mean, how many college presidents can really talk about having a podcast production crew and then some? So, and they all came in here of their own free will. I just want to say that right off the bat. Even Geronimo, who is just so thrilled to be here. So, thank you all for being here with me today. And this is ongoing with our theme of giving and our year of service. And so we're just going to start right off the bat. What do you do at Gavilan College, and how long have you worked here? We're going to start with you, Geronimo, down there at the end, who's hiding.
Okay. So I've been working at Gav. I was working part-time since like 2013, and I was doing Star with Maryland. I don't know if how familiar you guys are with that. That's the theater production that used to be on campus.
Right,
yeah. For a while. It hasn't been on campus since 2012, I think they left. No,
Yep, a long time ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, so that's how I started working here at Gav, and then there was an opportunity for a part-time multimedia technician, which is what Sean does. I know everybody knows Sean Mulcair.
Right.
So that's the first real job I had on campus, and then from there it turned into a full-time job. I applied, and I've been here since.
Yeah, great. So we just see you running around the campus all the time with wires and cameras and so forth. So what do you like about what you do?
Everything. I like working with anything audio and video. That's always been my thing. So if I can do it for a living, that's great.
Okay, and you usually prefer being behind the camera, behind the microphone,
Yeah.
not in front of it like you are right
Correct.
now. All right. And so, Tim, you're relatively new, but as you always remind me whenever I see you, you are so not new. You're not new to Gavilan. You're not new to the community. And so tell us a little bit about formally what your role is here now and how you got to come back.
Well, yeah, I first and foremost, I love Gavilan. I am alumni of Gavilan. I was here in '99 and actually have lived in the area, Morgan Hill and Gilroy, pretty much my entire life. I spent a couple years in San Diego when I went transferred to San Diego State and then came back because I love it up here. I met my wife in Grant's class.
Yes, I'm taking credit for that.
Yeah. So both my wife and I are alumni of Gavilan, and actually What I do now is I am a part-time instructor for the television and film department. We teach editing, screenwriting, and single camera production class. And the single camera production class is actually the class I took that set me down this path to being in this profession. When I came to Gav, I was a lot like a lot of students. I was unsure what I wanted to do, and I took this class and fell in love with television production, film production. So I'm extremely happy to be back here, and I've been doing it. This is, I think, the conclusion of my third full year part-time teaching here.
Yeah, great. We're really glad you're here. Okay, so Grant, you're like so excited to be in front of the microphone, I can tell. So how many bazillion years have you been at Gavilan College, and what do you do here?
Well, like the other two, I was a student here at Gavilan. And it's kind of unique in that my father taught here for nearly 25 years, I think, and did a host of different jobs. But I went to Chico State right out of high school, and then kind of missed Gavilan and being around my family, and so I came back to Gavilan for a couple of years, and because I was way ahead of the schedule, I was able to take some electives and discovered music. We had an amazing a music teacher, Art Junker, who got me into sound and mixing and all of that, and my father's a writer, and that got me into screenplay writing, and so, but I've been a full-time teacher here at Gavilan. This is my 23rd year, so
wow,
a while. I'm one of the old guys.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we're talking about how the work that we do gives back in this year of service, either in money, which is what we just heard about, in scholarship, in time, in relationship, in media. How does media give back? How does media and the work that you do give back to the college and the community? I could think of a lot of ways that the work that the three of you are doing and continue to do give back to the college and the community, but what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think we all have a lot to say, but we do a lot of projects for the college and the community. So, for example, Geronimo and I are going to go film the airplane museum in San Martin on Friday, and then Tim's going to edit it. All three of us were involved in an English project that we just did, that kind of an outreach for their new program, and we all filmed, but then Tim edited it, and so we're doing a lot of things that promote Gavilan and promote the community. Geronimo and I it was more Geronimo than I, but we did the project with the Gilroy Police Department, and met a lot of people and tied the two organizations together. And so we film and record a lot of important functions, and I think that is important for our program, important for the college, and the connection with Gavilan with the community. So,
Tim, Geronimo?
Also, we're there live streaming as many different sporting events as possible, that just to being able to allow the students and their parents who might not be local to be able to watch, say, the girls volleyball, championship games, or the men's and women's basketball games. And it's a real good opportunity for our students that are part of our program become our crew. And it's a teaching and learning experience. And it's a service to the college and the community.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm just going to add to what Tim was saying about the streaming. We are one of the few colleges that do it, I think, because I get a lot of compliments and a lot of comments when we're streaming at a basketball game or a volleyball game. Oh, where can we watch this? And this is cool. We don't have this at our school, and stuff like that. So it's great.
Definitely. So, share a story about a project that you've worked on, maybe in the past or currently, that you felt told a really powerful story that was kind of surprising to you, that you didn't think was going to be quite as surprising, but it became surprising to you. And I know you're involved in film projects. You have a film showcase that's coming up, and maybe a project in there.
So we are doing this year in April, April 27th?
26th.
April 26th, Friday the 26th, we're doing a student film showcase at the Gavilan Theater. And
Second annual.
And what's great is we're going to be able to feature a lot of, it's primarily only student productions, and it's, we of course have helped in numerous of aspects, but our students are producing, submitting, and we're actually even giving out awards this year
great.
For the film showcase. And what's great about it is we're able to see what's important to our students, like what's on their mind, what do they like. I mean, a lot of it's like, things are blowing up or people are being killed, but there's dinosaurs, but it's fun, and you can just tell that the people who get into this department and who are just passionate about this field, they just take every single class and they're just constantly thinking about and producing more and more stuff. And we're fortunate enough to have a really good class this year and this semester, and they're just producing above and beyond for all of our classes. And I think that if you decide to come to the showcase, you'll be really surprised at the quality and how entertaining everything is.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to put it on my schedule for this year. I'll be happy to be your Vanna and help to hand out some awards if I have the opportunity. In fact, your group is going to help me. I have the opportunity to go to Hamburg, Germany in June and do a presentation on behalf of the college and Rotary International about women's legacy in Rotary. And you guys are going to help me film that here in a couple of weeks. So I really appreciate that as well. So how can students in the community get involved if they want to learn more about the media work that you do or the degree programs that you have? Because I know your degree programs have shifted a little bit, and now you have a full-fledged degree here that is different than what we've offered in the past.
Yeah, the thing I think that's really transformed our degree is we had a film program and then we had a TV program, and they were good, but now we've combined them. That's what UCLA and USC and Chapman and San Francisco State, that's what they do. So we're emulating that. It's our new program is film, television, and electronic media. And it's an AAT, so it's a transfer agreement, and you can transfer right into a lot of four-year universities here at California. But we're really excited about it. And Tim and I are co-teaching 2 classes this semester, and I think 2 next semester as well. And it's exciting because I have strengths, Tim has strengths, and together our classes are so much more vibrant. And I think it stems from the 3 of us have such a great relationship. We get along so well. We have fun. We laugh. And I don't know if we or the program or but we've attracted such amazing students. And I'm just going to tell a real quick story. 2 nights ago on Tuesday night, Tim and I teach a screenplay writing class, and we had a face-to-face meet, and it was completely optional. We didn't offer extra credit or anything. And we had several people come, and we told stories and collaborated and laughed and had food, and it was fantastic. And that's what I think is one of the things that makes our program so great, is this sense of family.
And this whole writing session that we had, because our screenwriting class is a online class, so there is no face-to-face, but the students came up to us because they know us from our other classes as well, and asked, we want this opportunity to be able to write and sit down face-to-face with other writers, and if you guys are there, great. If not, we want this opportunity. And we're like, yeah, we'd love to be there. We're passionate about this as well. So it just organically kind of happened, and we were able to offer it, and it was enjoyable for everyone who attended.
So that's great. I'm really glad to hear that it's continuing to grow in that way, and that's the way so many programs really get launched here at Gavilan, is because of the faculty input. It's really about the work that you do as faculty, so I really appreciate hearing that. Where can we go to see your content? Is it on the YouTube channel? Is there a link on our website? How can we do that?
Yeah, there's a link on the Gavilan website, so gavilan.edu, and I believe it's under the TV and film tab.
Okay.
And there's links to some of the work. We'll be updating it periodically.
Okay, great.
There's also a link for the live broadcast. So
Okay.
if you are interested and you know that there's a game happening, and if we are fortunate enough or have enough crew to be able to staff it,
Yeah.
if you go to gavilan.edu/TV, gavilan.edu/TV, that, you can check there, and we're usually up within a half an hour before the broadcast and before the playtime of the game. So if you check
Okay.
in, that's where our live games are, and we try to promote it as much as possible when we can via email or Facebook posts.
Yeah, good.
And we're not limited to just the athletic events. We do Bach to Blues, we do graduation and other events. We did the cosmetology, had a fashion show last year, and so anything Gavilan. If you want us to film it and stream it, we'd love to be a part of it.
And so folks can contact you, Tim, and Grant and Geronimo. I mean, just email you if they want to do that.
Yeah, there is a place if they want us to film something, a link on the homepage and also the Gav television page, how to reach out to us. I think it first comes to me, but then I immediately send it to Tim and Geronimo because it's always a group project.
Okay. All right. So I think go to that page, and if all else fails, just email Geronimo, Tim, or Grant, and through our directory to find out more. So it sounds like there's a whole lot of giving back happening through multimedia means, through the film department, and certainly through my experience through doing this podcast, I've learned a lot about how much we're doing in the film and TV and podcasting. And I know there's a lot more podcasting occurring beyond the presidential podcast, and I really appreciate everything you're doing to support those efforts. So thank you, Geronimo, Tim, and Grant, for talking with me about your work.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so welcome back to the Presidential Podcast. I hope you're hanging in there and still listening to the Presidential Podcast, because I feel like we have gone on for a long ways. But, it's been a really interesting podcast on this theme of giving and how we give back to the college and the community, and talking to the DeRezzo family and their scholarship and their family scholarship, and then talking to our media crew and how they give back through media. And we're wrapping up the podcast today with Danae Pescarmona. And boy, has she ever given back already in her quick tenure at the college. And so, Danae, I'm really happy that you're finally here in our spacious podcast booth to talk with me about your time at Gavilan. So welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So you've been at Gavilan for 7+ months now. Are we growing on you?
You are. Absolutely.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're growing on you. So tell us a little bit. I mean, you've introduced yourself a lot to us, and we've gotten to know you quite a bit over the last 7+ months. But tell us now why you chose Gavilan and a little bit about your journey to come here, because you moved your family, you've come here. We haven't allowed you to barely take a breath since you've been here, but tell us why you chose us. We're very different from the College of the Canyons where you came from, and a little bit about how you came to get here.
Okay. Well, one thing I will say I'm really enjoying is the green. I don't get a lot of green in Southern California.
Yeah.
So how did I get to why Gavilan, how Gavilan? Why is, I think, pretty easy. I was at College of the Canyons for almost 17 years, faculty member for 10+, and then a dean for another 6+. And I really was ready to stretch and grow, and I liked a single college district environment. And I had heard really, really good things about Gavilan over the course of my time at Canyons. And an example of that, and I know we're going to talk about accreditation later, but when we were going through our midterm report, we were using Gavilan's midterm report template for accreditation. And I'm like, wow, this is a pretty crisp, lean document. It's the kind of writing I like. And I thought, well, they're doing some good stuff there. And, Gavilan. And then another instance, and you probably don't remember this, but I do. I was at the Basic Skills Institute Leadership Academy, Be Silly, which is a terrible acronym, and I hope they change it. But that's what it's called. And I was at the first one in 2010, and then I went back again, and I think it was in 2016 or 17. And I'm trying to remember, maybe it was 16. And I got to meet Scott Sandler and Doug Achterman and Kyle Hull, and I was incredibly impressed by their commitment to their students and the care that they give their students, and their just almost relentless focus on equity. And interestingly enough, they brought their vice president of instruction with them one day. You were there. Do you remember that? You were. You were there one day up at Lake Arrowhead.
Oh, yes, that's right.
You were there.
Right.
And I thought to myself, holy cow, they got their VPI here and I'm like, wow, that says a lot about the institutional commitment to serving students, to an equitable mindset. And it sort of stuck with me. And so, I actually had been looking for a couple years, and I saw, a first instance of a posting for a VP of instruction, and I had talked to Jerry Buckley, who was my VP, and said, hey, I'm thinking about this. And he said, I don't think you're quite ready yet. And so I said, well, okay, I'm going to listen to that. And I didn't apply the first time. But then about a year later, it popped up again, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go for it this time. So that's kind of just how I found out about and learned a little bit about Gavilan, and I'm happy to be here. And it's been incredibly exciting, and I think that my first instincts were correct, that there's a deep current and a deep passion on this campus for equity and for the coordinated care that we give our students.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad that has been one of your primary first impressions of us, because that is something that is truly unique about Gavilan. And I think we're still seeking definition for equity and what equity means for us that is distinctly different from other colleges. And you're helping us to figure that out. Tell me a little bit about your experience of the community so far. So you live in Morgan Hill, but you know about Hollister, certainly Gilroy, San Juan Bautista, Romas, everywhere else. So what do you think about the community?
I really like the community. And so my parents, a little bit about, me, my parents grew up in Modesto. And so they're from the Central Valley. And coming up here is a lot like when I was a kid going up to visit family and relatives in the Central Valley. And these pockets and these communities that have all such distinct characteristics and are so uniquely themselves, but are also interestingly intertwined into this South Valley, San Benito crossover community. It's been an interesting study for me. And we looked everywhere. We had kind of a whirlwind as we were moving up here. And we looked at a house in Aromas, and we looked at houses, and God help me, mansions, really. Some of these houses in Hollister are huge. I looked at houses in Hollister. We looked at houses in Gilroy, landed in Morgan Hill, and it was the last house that we looked at. And I think we saw like 14 houses in one day. We had a realtor that was doing Skype walkthroughs of houses with us. But the community, what I really like about this community is that it sees itself as a unity kind of. There's a distinction of like, this is our community, but each little pocket has its own distinct identity that all the parts do make up this really interesting whole. And I like that. I'm liking Morgan Hill a lot. Honestly, I like the commute. I really was looking at Hollister, and I liked the open space of Hollister, but I really didn't want to do that commute. I commuted a lot when I was in Southern California, and I'm liking my commute a lot more these days. And I like the neighborhood. My daughter can walk to her middle school, and it's quiet, and we're kind of nestled up against the foot of El Toro Mountain, and I like that. And I like waking up in the morning and walking my dog and seeing deer on the hill.
Yeah, good. So far so good. So this president can breathe a giant sigh of yes, contentment. So I do a segment on my podcast at the end called, it's entitled What's on My Mind, and where I talk about current issues and topics of interest at the college and kind of what's ruminating around in my head at this point. So what's on your mind right now?
What's on my mind right now? Change. I think there's a lot of change, and I know folks are probably feeling the imminent change because their colleagues and friends may have elected to take the retirement incentive, and change around guided pathways. And how do we as leaders lead through change in a really constructive and deliberate manner? And I think, having done yoga, and I was really excited once I got up here. I got to do goat yoga, which is a topic for a different podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
But the advice of great yoga teachers who say you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you need to breathe into your discomfort in a way until you find a new comfortable space. And so I'm really cognizant of how to lead through change, how to ensure that the operations of the college happen, but that we don't get trapped in transactional issues when we should be leaning towards transformational issues as we lead for change. So that's really on my mind right now, and it's something that I have been noodling over quite a bit.
Very good. Yeah, so I think swirling around in that space of change, I know, at least for me, is our big event that's coming up on March 11th. So talk about that for a second.
So our accreditation team is coming, and I'm excited to have them here. And I've been doing a lot of road shows, and I think probably at this point, if anybody's listening to this, they've probably already thought, I've heard her talk about accreditation. But I think the big thing for the campus community and for our community at large is to understand that accreditation is about students. And I say that at the beginning of every presentation. I'm going to keep saying it because it is. And we don't, I think it's too easy to get caught up in accreditation as this check the box. Are you compliant? Are you not? Are you meeting the standard? Are you not? And that's really not what it's about. And it's certainly not what ACCJC, our accrediting commission, is about anymore. It might have been at one point, but it's not. It's about serving our students and always focused on how we are improving our services for our students and making sure that we have the foundations, the resources to serve our students as best as possible. And that's really the message of accreditation that I want everybody to have, is that there are always places we can be improving upon. And that's what we should acknowledge and say, hey, this is an area that we do okay, but we could get even better on. And that's kind of the message I'm trying to convey. We want to do accreditation for our students so they get financial aid, so their units transfer, but more importantly, so that their experience here is the absolute best experience they could have in higher education.
Absolutely. Well stated. Well stated. Okay, final question. So as you look down the road over the next couple years for Gavilan, what do you see?
I see a lot of, I have a magic 8-ball on my desk, and I consult it quite often. And it does tell me to ask again later often, too. But I think that what I see is we're at a tipping point. There's a great tipping point here for Gavilan. With the passage of Measure X, with the building of these new facilities, we have an opportunity to do something radically different that most schools don't have. And as we move into when we talk about guided pathways, I think the big thing is it's not a mandate. We need to get past this idea that it's a mandate. It's not. It's actually just an enhancement of what we are already doing with our coordinated care for students, but doing it in a much more intentional way and a much more deliberate way. But now with Measure X, we're going to be able to really design a campus around that intentional, coordinated care for students that's going to ensure their completion. And so for me, I think we're at this great tipping point. Most schools who are doing guided pathways have to kind of shove the round peg into the square hole kind of a thing, where we have this building, so we're going to mash it up and make it work for guided pathways. And now we get to design think our spaces around guided pathways. And so for me, I see that change as being incredibly positive and incredibly optimistic. But, you have to sort of also understand that it makes people really nervous. And I'm really nervous, and that's okay. You know, you have to. I quoted Keats I taught English. I can't help myself. I'm going to quote Keats. To be a poet is the ability to live in doubts, uncertainties, and mysteries without any irritable reaching after fact or reason. That's negative capability, and that's kind of where we are. We have to kind of be okay with knowing that right now we're in transition, and we might not be able to see the whole picture at the end. But we know what we're doing is getting us to the picture we want to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. That living in an ambiguous environment is very, it tests waters all the time. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that about working with you every day. And I know that as we look down that road over the next couple of years, particularly with Measure X, we're going to have so many opportunities to be able to create the next 50 to 100-year template for the college that will be radically different, so that 100 years on down the line, when they are celebrating the next 100-year mark, they will look back on this campus and say, wow, maybe I can understand what they were thinking back in 2019 as they were looking to spend that Measure X back in the day. And I am really looking forward to being a part of that historic design, build process with you and other members of our community team as a part of that dialogue. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I know the college will continue to get to know you in the months ahead as you round out your first year. Can't wait till we get to the 12-month mark where we can start to talk about you actually being here for your first year. Although many of us have commented that it feels like you've been here for a really long time, and I guess that familiarity and feeling as though you have fit right away has been a really good thing. So
I hope so.
Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're back to wrap up the presidential podcast, and thank you all for hanging in there and for listening to the podcast. These are just so fascinating and interesting for me to record, and there are so many of you that I want to talk to and bring on the air. So I hope you enjoy listening to these. And next month in March, Women's History Month, we're already talking about the many women that I would like to bring on the podcast, so stay tuned for that. So this is the segment of What's on My Mind, and just like what Danae was talking about, certainly accreditation is at the top of the list. And I am feeling strangely calm about accreditation. Much of that has to do with all of the work you put into the institutional self-evaluation report, which is available online, and I hope you've all had the chance to breeze through it and read it. What I especially like about the ICER is that we started out with storytelling about the college and storytelling about our change and what we do every year in terms of our themes, this year being the year of service, as we've been talking about all morning. Other things on my mind include the bond. At last week's board meeting, the Board of Trustees approved the project list. And if you haven't gone online and read about that on the Measure X website, which is a part of our regular website now, under visitors in the community, you can click on Measure X. You can see the whole dashboard now about X and about everything that will be occurring going forward as we get into the planning process. Our 5 main projects that the board approved include the San Benito County campus, our central plant here on the Gilroy campus, the Library and Learning Resource Center, the STEM Center, and the Performing Arts Center. And stop by my office and I'd be happy to fill in the blanks on more about those projects. The Centennial is on my mind, September 7th. We are talking about what a fantastic event that's going to be. I had a meeting this week with the South Valley Symphony. They will be performing during that event, and we will be continuing partnerships with many others to make that event just the spectacular 100-year celebration that it needs to be. Our graduation on May 24th will be celebrating our 99th year of graduations. It will be outside again. We already have our keynote established. I won't give that away yet, but I'll tell you about that in a future podcast. And so we're excited about that. But before I go on all those things on my mind, this morning I also have the men's basketball team on my mind because you know what? As of last night, they are the Coast Conference champions back-to-back. last year and this year. So we are extremely excited as they go into the playoffs. And so Coach Dallas Jensen and team, congratulations. Last night we also honored Diane Stone at halftime because Diane will be retiring in May. Diane has been just the mother of the athletic department for many years, and we will certainly miss her when she goes off into the happy chapter of retirement in May. I'm also looking forward to the South Valley Symphony performance on March 9th here at the college. And, as part of our partnership with them, staff, faculty, and students can go for free. So come and go to that performance with me. They'll have a violinist performing and a concert choir as well. And then, of course, Bach to Blues on March 16th. I'll be there as well. So please join me for that performance. Check the calendar on the website for current schedule of events and come on out to a Gavilan performance or sporting event soon. All right, folks, that's it for me for the Presidential Podcast. I'll see you on campus and take care.